Hello. Okay. This is a plastic water bottle. I'm sure that you are all familiar, as 480 billion of these were sold in 2016 alone. While they are clean, cheap, and easy ways to get water, they are also choking our planet. A plastic bag. Clean, cheap, convenient even, but is also the spawn of our planet's next global crisis, plastic pollution. We, as individuals, can and should make efforts to reduce our planet's plastic pollution. Well, it may seem like we have reduced our plastic pollution with innovations in plastic technology and consumer products. The opposite is actually true. American plastic pollution has actually been increasingly detrimental in the last 20 years. This plastic bottle, if it's not recycled, will end up in our planet's oceans or our planet's landfills. So, with this being said, let's examine the effects of plastic pollution on those two fronts, in our landfills and in our oceans. According to the United Nations Environmental Assembly, we dump approximately 4.8 to 12.7 million tons of plastic in our oceans each year. These tons of plastic, because of ocean currents, accumulate into large ocean gyres, where the garbage and plastic waste creates patches hundreds of millions of miles wide. Today, there are 5 major oceanic garbage patches, with the largest of which being the Great Pacific Garbage Patch off the coast of California, being about 994 million miles wide according to the World Atlas. After years of tossing about in the oceans, plastics break up into smaller plastics, or microplastics, which are about the size of a millimeter or smaller, which then break up into nanoplastics, or plastics smaller than a micrometer, which is 1,000th of a millimeter. This is similar to the rock cycle, where fragments get tossed about in rivers and streams, they get eroded and broken up because of friction. But the fatal difference here is that unlike rocks, plastic doesn't biodegrade so easy. It can't just be broken up like that. The plastics, even when broken into tiny pieces, can take around 1,000 years to fully decompose. These tiny pieces then can get consumed by ocean life. And according to the University of Georgia, quote, globally, at least 690 marine species, including seabirds, sea lions, seals, whales, fish, and other invertebrates, have reportedly become ill or died following entanglement in or ingestion of marine plastics. These sea creatures consume these nanoplastics unknowingly, which get eaten by other sea creatures, and they move throughout the ocean circle of life, and eventually end up in humans. According to a 2019 Guardian article, researchers found that humans consume about 50,000 particles of plastic each year, be that by our seafood or by our water. These plastics get into our oceans chiefly by either individual pollution of beaches or streams, which easily leads to oceans, or by wind blowing trash from landfills into these rivers or streams. There are about 2,000 active landfills today in the United States. These landfills are used as space to bury or burn trash that are produced in the United States. According to Plastic in Landfills, a staggering 40% of plastic bottles end up in landfills. 2 in 5 of these plastic bottles end up there. This is not surprising, however, because according to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, in 2018, at least 75% of plastic produced ended up in landfills or oceans. Because of us consumers, our plastic pollution is leading to our country going to have to run out of space in landfills by the next 18 years. These statistics are interesting, but what does it actually mean? Sure, landfills are smelly, they are big eyesores in the community, but what are the actual ramifications of landfills? Well, when these plastics sit in landfills and bake for so long, the sun's rays pull toxins out of these plastics. And when rain comes, rain washes down the toxics into the ground, which gets in the groundwater and effectively pollutes and ruins the ground, the soil, and the groundwater. Seeing these statistics, there are clear solutions that we as individuals can take to fight plastic pollution and save our environment. We can use the 3 R's of the environment as a guideline of how we can save our planet. We can reduce, we can reuse, and we can recycle. The simplest solution to plastic pollution is to reduce the amount of plastic you consume. As I said before, 40% of plastic bottles end up in rivers or streams. So instead of using this plastic bottle, consider switching to a metal one. Over the course of a year, say you drink 3 plastic bottles per day, that would be about 1,000 plastic bottles you use and 1,000 that end up in oceans or landfills. But once you switch to this metal container, you can not only save those 1,000 the plastic bottles, but also save money as well. Say this plastic bottle cost $1.29, the average cost of a water at a convenience store. Over the course of the year, if this metal container is $15, you would have saved around $1,400 in just 1 year at $3 water bottles a day. Instead of using this plastic bag, which is hard to reuse and often ends up in oceans and landfills, consider switching this reusable bag. One usage of a reusable bag can save 4 to 6 plastic bags from our environment. Not only should we just cut out plastic water bottles and plastic bags, but we should also cut out any unnecessary plastics that we don't need, such as straws, coffee cup lids, and any good that's wrapped in plastic where it could have been wrapped in paper or another item. So yes, us as individuals can save the environment and can reduce our plastic pollution just by switching to these easy and, in the case of the metal container, cost-effective means. But not only can we reduce, but we can also reuse. To prevent using plastics more than necessary, we can reuse plastic bags if we use them in the first place, as bags to hold our recyclable goods or our garbage goods when we throw them away. Or we can opt to use old mason jars, old pickle jars, old Cool Whip or margarine containers to store food items instead of using new Tupperware or plastic wrap. But the final and most easily applicable way to prevent pernicious plastic pollution is to recycle. Instead of dooming your plastic goods to the ocean, just recycle them. Your plastic goods can then be broken down and repurposed into other plastic goods. As stated before, a whopping 75% of plastic waste ends up in landfills or oceans. And according to the New York Post, of 2,000 Americans that they surveyed, only 31% said that they always recycle a recyclable item. This huge lack of Americans who recycle, while yes, is detrimental to the environment, but is also an enormous opportunity for growth. Because we can be the generation that makes a change. We can be the generation that says no to plastic in the oceans and yes to recycling. We as individuals can make a difference in our environment. By choosing to reduce, reuse, and recycle, we can reduce the amount of plastic that will be subjugated to 1,000 years in our planet's oceans and landfills. Thank you for not choosing convenience over our planet. Thank you for choosing to invest in your planet, and thank you for your time. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.